Welcome back to Step by Step. We come here every Saturday to update a furniture piece step by step. This week is part 2 of the dresser that starts with the spring floral design, decoupage paper from Dixie Belle, and it's looking bright and fresh. Now let's see how it turns out. Here's where we last left you with this piece. Now I'm working on those upper drawers, and I'm leaving the hardware in and just doing an extra coat of the cotton. Well, I guess I had already left the hardware in, but I'm going to be working with Lucky Lavender and doing a little bit of a blend on the drawers here. I'm using the Scarlet brush from Dixie Belle. And now I think I'm using a flat brush. Flat small, yeah. So I am just putting in some Lucky Lavender around the handle there. And I'm going to be using a neutral brush, which I think is an oval medium, and I'm using a water mister and just blending those colors together. Very light, feathery touch. Now I get a little carried away with this, and I kind of liked it from the beginning and should have just left it that way, so I edited, and there I did. I left it that way. Truth is, I fooled around with it a lot more. Now I'm using Plum Crazy. These two pieces of hardware are the ones that I took off the drawers with the decoupage. They have enough going on, so I didn't want to do anything around them. I kind of got the idea from the hardware from Malia Klein of Mustard Tree Designs. She is Dixie Belle brand ambassador, and she had done this Zentangle piece. You'll have to check out her video on that. It is really cool. And I just loved the hardware on her furniture piece. So I must admit, Malia, I'm kind of taking your idea here. I did it differently. I'm gonna be honest, and I am a little ambivalent with this piece, and you'll see why. So I go back to the drawer that only has a little bit of the design on it that came up from the other drawer on the bottom with the decoupage paper. And I'm just kind of gently painting the hardware because I'm going to do a little shadow around it. So that's why I didn't remove it to paint it. So watch as I paint this hardware. I think I'm going to speed things up a little bit in the editing. As you watch this video, I would really love to hear what your comments are on this furniture piece. Like I said, I'm a little ambivalent. I kind of love it, and then I kind of wish I would have left it light and bright like it was in the beginning. Kind of went a little dark with it, but you know what? I ended up loving it in the end. So that's just kind of something I'll tell you. See it through to the end. See your vision through. And sometimes you'll end up adding things. I added a million things that I didn't expect to. So now I'm just taking a small brush, and I just am using the water mister and kind of making a little halo with that color. Now, obviously, white cotton is our whitest white, and Plum Crazy is a pretty dark, intense color, so these aren't going to blend easily, but I'm mainly just using the water to move that paint around a little bit and create that halo. The paint kind of travels. The Plum Crazy kind of travels on the white a little bit. And I'm okay with that. I think it creates sort of a cool tie-dye watercolor kind of look. So I kind of like it. As I always say, there's no accidents. So we didn't go back on this piece or change anything. But it took several days, and every time I would walk away from it, I either walked away happy with it, and then I would come back and not be sure about it, or I'd walk away and I was frustrated with it, and then I'd come back and say, yeah, I kind of like this. So I always say take a picture of it and get another objective on it before you make any decisions or change anything, paint over anything. Get some opinions from other people. And I always ask yours. So let me know how you think about this piece in the comments. But don't stop watching in the middle. You have to see it the whole way through. Again, we're speeding the video up just so you can see the process. I use white around there. I freshen up the cotton paint as well as the Plum Crazy. So I have two wet paints plus the mister to kind of mix these paints together. But again, I'm really using the water to let that dark paint kind of creep into the other paint, if you will. There it goes. You can sort of see that watercolor effect with the more water that I add. I didn't want it to look kind of like a clown smile shape, if you know what I'm saying. That's why I kind of enjoyed the paint drifting a little bit. These colors are amazing and so much fun to work with. So now we're going to return to that top drawer where I did the Lucky Lavender blend, and we're adding the Plum Crazy again to the hardware. And also going to blend the Plum Crazy into the Lucky Lavender again with that little halo like we did on the other piece. So same procedure, just using a different color now against it. In retrospect, I might not have left the handles on. I might have liked that part a little bit better and kept it a little bit lighter and brighter. But you know what? Again, I will say there's no mistakes. You do what you do, and then you either change it or you live with it. And I kept going and decided to live with this one. So I hope you like it. So I keep doing what I usually do when blending. Add a little bit of each color and the water mister and just keep working with it until I'm happy with the results. I'm showing you all of this process because these colors are kind of difficult to blend as well. And I just want you to see, but boy, that's a pretty color combination, isn't it? And then the same thing will apply to the top drawers with the different hardware. They look pretty and bright like this, so again, that could have been a stopping point for me, but you know, I didn't. I kept going. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. We're getting there. We I think have 635 subscribers, and we have a giveaway when we reach 1,000. We're going to give away $500 worth of Dixie Belle paint and stencils and transfers and molds and all kinds of stuff, candles, you name it. You can visit the Instagram page for instructions on how to get in on that giveaway. So after the paint dries, I come back in with a detail brush and put more of the Plum Crazy on the hardware to make it stand out. So now I start to use Bayou Moss, one of the Voodoo Gel Stain colors, and I just squirted it in a bowl, and I'm using a brush and just kind of stippling the paint on. The stain, rather. It's a gel stain. And then I just take, I mist it a little bit, and take a paper towel and just blot it and rub it. I want it to look like moss around the edges and the corners of the drawers. So that's my goal here. I really like the way it turned out looking. So now I kind of want to tone down that color a little bit. So I'm using a little bit of white wax. Not necessarily tone down, but just kind of mute it a little bit. It's really bright. So that's what I'm doing here with white wax, just taking a detail brush, just kind of brushing it heavily, and then just using my paper towel and just rubbing it back a little bit. So in this one you can see how that Plum Crazy kind of drifted, kind of gave it that little tie-dye effect, and I like that look. So I continued with that process. Then I got my big Best Dang brush and my clear wax and waxed everything else. This brush makes it so easy to apply wax to large surfaces. I just love that. And it doesn't matter if I get it where I have the white wax. It's all good. Haven't done anything to the top yet. So just so you know, haven't touched the top. Okay, here I come in with dark wax. This is brown wax, Best Dang wax. So this may be the part where things change for you. It started to change for me here. I liked it, but yet I didn't like it. Once I did the dark wax, I will admit it was no longer a bright piece. I still liked it though. And in the end, I end up really liking it, but just saying, you go through a lot of emotions sometimes when you're working on a piece, and this was one of them. It was like roller coaster because I would have my moments. You always have that escalation of, this next step is really going to make it look better. And then sometimes it's like you're just not sure. Sometimes you go the other way with it. But again, I ask for your comments. I'd really love to know how you feel about this piece. Okay, now I am taking some chameleon wax and just hitting that hardware. I'm using lilac and cactus. I've used chameleon wax on different colors before, and my favorite to this date was using it on caviar. I might have a new favorite. I really love the way the chameleon wax popped on the plum crazy color. So to me, the darker colors, it really looks great. I'm starting to think about amethyst, antebellum blue, colors like that, and using it on there. So I'm really digging the way this looks. I continue the process on all of the hardware, and I'm doing it just randomly. So just a little bit of the cactus here, a little bit of the lilac there, and it really picks up the colors of the moss and also the lilac and the colors in the decoupage paper. So after I finish that, I decide that I need a little something extra on the sides. So I use the new Harlequin stencil from Dixie Belle, and I just very lightly, randomly, I'm using that Bayou moss, and I'm not even worrying about it being perfect. My inspiration here is a courtyard where you have cement pieces and then you have grass in squares. That was my thought. So that's what I'm trying to kind of simulate here. I thought it would look pretty with the flowers. So after I did all that, I got to the top. Now, maybe Santa Claus will bring me a new sander because this one has had it. But I gave it a go, and it was kind of falling apart. As you can see, my baggie to catch the dust that didn't even work. So I did my best with that, and I wasn't real happy with the uneven results. So I just finished hand sanding it, and then I came in with some coffee bean from Dixie Belle just to kind of even out that color tone again. So I just did it really randomly because I had worn off some of the color, so I just kind of wanted to even the playing field, if you will, with that coffee bean color. I let that dry. No, actually, I don't even think I did let it dry. I came back in with more Voodoo Gel Stain, this time in White Magic and more Bayou Moss. And I just squirted it randomly on the top. I love those squirt bottles. And the moss was not coming out as easily. Then I got it to come out. So just kind of going all over the place with it. And I took an oval medium brush. So I just had one brush. And you'll see what I ended up doing with the surface on here. So I'm just taking my brush and going through all of that color. Just long strokes back and forth over the whole top. The idea here is to simulate a wood grain. You'll see as I go back and forth over the color that the colors sort of start to blend together and just create that look of wood grain. This is a faux wood grain top look. So you can achieve this with any color combination you want to. Of course, to make it look like real wood, you want to use natural colors. So this kind of gives this top sort of like a bleached wood look. So I just took that mixed paint along the sides and continue to blend the edges out. It's really a pretty easy process. And again, don't overwork it. So when I was done, I was really happy with my results, but I couldn't leave it alone. I really wanted to use a wood graining tool and go through it. So here's what that's like. That was the best knot that happened there. This is the part of the project that I ended up loving the most, I think. But you just pull and rock with the wood graining tool. This is an older one I've had for a while. They are available on Dixie Belle. So I'll have my affiliate link in the comments and you can get one too. I'm going to be replacing mine soon because you can see certain parts where it just kind of dragged the one spot. So after I was done, I went over it with my brush, just hit some of those spots that dragged, that I didn't really like it. Just where it left kind of a line. And then on the front, I came back in and just used a little artist fan brush and just used some of the white and some of the moss and just added a little bit more color into that and evened out that wood grain look there. And as you can see, I used some wax on the sides after I finished with the Harlequin stencil and the moss. Now I am using one of Dixie Belle's silkscreen stencils, and this is the new one with butterflies. And they're just like stickers. You peel them off, but they're reusable. You can get about 10 uses out of these. You just wash them when you're done, but it's like the same kind of silk screen that they use on t-shirts. Instead of that space in the middle being just a negative blank space, it's a little screen. So here I am. I'm just taking the lids of the Lucky Lavender and the Plum Crazy, and I'm just using one brush, and I'm just kind of blending the colors through the stencil. So I start with the Lucky Lavender and just kind of use it in the middle of the stencil of the butterfly bodies. Just kind of making a little round blob there in the center or wherever I want it. Kind of want to work it into that screen. Now I'm using the same brush and I'm just putting the Plum Crazy on the edges of the wings. And I continue to blend them together. This edition is thanks to my friend Terry. You'll have to check out her channel, Sisterhood of the Traveling Brush. I kept saying, this is missing something, and that's what she suggested, was a little something to bring in the colors from the front to the sides. So I decided to use the butterfly stencil. And I'm glad I did. That's exactly what it needed, so thanks, Terry. Just touching up a little bit more. As I kind of blended the colors together, I wanted to make sure that the Plum Crazy was still intense, because they sort of made a dusty mauve color when they blended together, which would be really pretty. But I wanted that bright Plum Crazy color. Okay, you ready for the big reveal? And just peel that off and voila, there's your butterfly. Obviously, I'm pleased. So there was a vintage design in the drawer, so I painted them. And here's some close-ups of this piece. I did some more diamonds on the front. And again, I hope you really like it. Let me know what you think. And here's that top. Just love the wood grain on the top. After everything, I think it turned out pretty cute. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you like and share this video, and please subscribe to the channel. That all helps to grow my channel and I appreciate it. Please visit at lavintagedecor.company. On Instagram, we're LaVintage Decor, and on Facebook, we're LaVintage Decor Altoona. Stay well.